Hey humans, welcome to Read to Me, Matt Dunn. I'm Matt Dunn, and I'm going to read to you. Well, we are reading Frankenstein, and we are in chapter 21, and this is part 2. Let's get started. In this state of mind, I wrote to Elizabeth. My letter was calm and affectionate. I fear my beloved girl. Just kidding. Calm and affectionate, remember? So let's do that. Let's bring into the moment. I fear my beloved girl, I said. Little happiness remains for us on earth. Yet all that I may one day enjoy is concentered in you. Chase away your idle fears. To you alone do I consecrate my life and my endeavors for commitment. Take some notes, people. These words. Little joy is left in this world for us, but all that I have, I see in you. Only you. Fuck everybody else. You're all that I have left, baby. I have one secret, Elizabeth. One secret. A dreadful one. When revealed to you, it will chill your frame with horror, and then, far from being surprised at my misery, you will only wonder that I survive what I have endured. Yeah, wonder that I survived. Yeah, exactly what he said. I will confide this tale of misery and terror to you the day after our marriage shall take place. For, my sweet cousin, there must be perfect confidence between us. But until then, I conjure you, do not mention or allude to it. This I most earnestly entreat. I know you will comply. The day after the marriage, is he like, okay, so if I die my night of the wedding, then I won't have to tell her. Thank God. This I most earnestly entreat, and I know you will comply. In about a week after the arrival of Elizabeth's letter, we returned to Geneva. My cousin welcomed me with warm affection. I bet she did. Warm legs, I'm sure, because you've been gone for so long. She's like, give me that. Give me that now. Yet tears were in her eyes as she beheld my emaciated frame and feverish cheeks. I saw a change in her also. She was thinner and had lost much of that heavenly vivacity that had before charmed me. But her gentleness and soft looks of compassion made her a more fit companion for one blasted and miserable as I was. The tranquility which I now enjoyed did not endure. Memory brought madness with it, and when I thought on what had passed, a real insanity possessed me. Sometimes I was furious and burnt with rage, sometimes low and despondent. I neither spoke nor looked, but sat motionless, bewildered by the multitude of miseries that overcame me. Elizabeth alone had the power to draw me from these fits. Her gentle voice would soothe me when transported by passion, and inspire me with human feelings when sunk in torpor. She wept with me and for me. When reason returned, she would remonstrate and endeavor to inspire me with resignation. Ah, it is well for the unfortunate to be resigned, but for the guilty there is no peace. The agonies of remorse poison the luxury there is otherwise sometimes found in indulging the excess of grief. Not grease, but grief. Too much grease does make you have a bellyache and you might have poops, but grief might give you bellyaches and might make you poop. Soon after my arrival, my father spoke of my immediate marriage with my cousin. I remained silent. Have you, then, some other attachment? None on earth. I love Elizabeth and look forward to our union with delight. Let the day therefore be fixed on it, and on it I will consecrate myself in life or death to the happiness of my cousin. Good for you. You are a failure at life. My dear Victor, do not speak thus. Heavy misfortunes have befallen us, but let us only cling closer to what remains and transfer our lives for those whom we have lost to those who yet live. Our circle will be small, but bound close by the ties of affection and mutual misfortune. And when time shall have softened your despair, new and dear objects of care will be born to replace those of whom we have been so cruelly deprived. He's basically saying, time heals all wounds, but time needs the help of distraction. Such were the lessons of my father. But to me the remembrance of the threat returned, nor can you wonder that, omnipotent as the fiend had yet been in his deeds of blood, I should almost regard him as invincible. And that when he had pronounced the words, I shall be with you on your wedding night, I should regard the threatened fate as unavoidable. But death was no evil to me, if the loss of Elizabeth were balanced with it, and I therefore with the contented and even cheerful countenance agreed with my father, that if my cousin would consent, their ceremony should take place in 10 days, and thus put, as I imagined, the seal to my fate. Okay, shooting this out there. I don't know if you are thinking what I'm thinking, but I think that creature Frankenstein, not monster Frankenstein, creature Frankenstein is going to kill Elizabeth and not Victor. Victor is just an idiot. Victor, if I was the creature, I would just, yeah. Great God. If for one instant I had thought of what might be the hellish intention of my fiendish adversary, I would rather have banished myself forever from my native country and wandered, a fiendless outcast, over the earth, than have consented to this miserable marriage. But as if possessed of magic powers, the monster had blinded me to his real intentions, and when I thought that I prepared only my own death, I hastened that of a far dearer victim. Oh, look who's probably right. As the period fixed for our marriage drew nearer, whether from cowardice or a prophetic feeling, I felt my heart sink within me. But I concealed my feelings by an appearance of hilarity that brought smiles and joy to the countenance of my father, but hardly deceived the ever-watchful and nicer eye of Elizabeth. She looked forward to our union with placid contentment, not unmingled with a little fear, which past misfortunes had impressed, that what now appeared certain and tangible happiness might soon dissipate into an airy dream and leave no trace but deep and everlasting regret. Preparations were made for the event, congratulatory visits were received, and all wore a smiling appearance. I shut up, as well as I could, in my own heart the anxiety that preyed there, and entered with seeming earnestness into the plans of my tragedy. a house was purchased for us near Colony, by which we should enjoy the pleasures of the country and yet be so near Geneva as to see my father every day, who would still reside within the walls for the benefit of Ernest, that he might follow his studies at the schools. Good for Ernest! In the meantime, I took every precaution to defend my person, in case the fiend should openly attack me. I carried pistols and a dagger constantly about me, and was ever on the watch to prevent artifice, and by these means gained a greater degree of tranquillity. Indeed, as the period approached, the threat appeared more as a delusion, not to be regarded as worthy to disturb my peace, while the happiness I hoped for in my marriage wore a greater appearance of certainty. As the day fixed for its solemnization drew nearer, I heard it continually spoken of as an occurrence which no accident could possibly prevent. Continual. Sentences are so long. Elizabeth seemed happy, though. My tranquil demeanor contributed greatly to calm her mind, but on the day that it was to fulfill my wishes and my destiny, she was melancholy, and a presentiment of evil pervaded her, and perhaps also she thought of the dreadful secret which I had promised to reveal to her the following day. My father was in the meantime overjoyed, and, in the bustle of preparation, only observed in the melancholy of his niece the diffidence of a bride. Diffidence. After the ceremony was performed, a large party assembled at my father's, but it was agreed that Elizabeth and I should pass the afternoon and night at Evian, and return to Cologne. It looks like Cologne, and return to Cologne the next morning. As the day was fair and the wind favorable, we resolved to go by water. Those were the last moments of my life during which I enjoyed the feeling of happiness. So from here on out, I guess it's just going to go downhill. Let's find out. We passed rapidly along. The sun was hot, but we were sheltered from its rays by a kind of canopy which while we enjoyed the beauty of the scene, sometimes on one side of the lake, where we saw Mont Saleve, the pleasant banks of Mont Babagag, and at a distance, surmounting all, the beautiful Mont Blanc, and the assemblage of snowy mountains that in vain endeavor to emulate her. Sometimes coasting the opposite banks, we saw the mighty Jura opposing its dark side to the ambitions that would quit its native country, and an almost insurmountable barrier to the invader who should wish to enslave it. I took the hand of Elizabeth. Elizabeth's hand. You are sorrowful, my love. Ah, if you knew what I have suffered, and what I may yet endure, you would endeavor to let me taste the quiet and freedom from despair that this one day at least permits me to enjoy. Victor, you are a dickhead. Basically, I think he just was like, look, girl, we just got married, and you're sad. Can you please give me a little bit of happiness on my last day alive? You don't know I'm going to die because I'm not going to tell you. But seriously, can you stop being so solemn for no fucking reason? That's Victor. Blaming Elizabeth for his problems. That's the type of man you are, Victor. A piece of shit. And you should drown in that fucking water. Be happy, my dear Victor, replied Elizabeth. There is, I hope, nothing to distress you. And be sure that if a lively joy is not painted in my face, my heart is contented. Something whispers to me not to depend too much on the prospect that is open before us, but I will not listen to such a sinister voice. Observe how fast we move along, and how the clouds, which sometimes obscure and sometimes rise above the dome of Mount Blanc, render this scene of beauty still more interesting. Look also at the innumerable fish that are swimming in the clear waters, where we can distinguish every pebble that lies at the bottom. What a divine day! How happy and serene all nature appears! Thus Elizabeth endeavored to divert her thoughts and mind from all reflections upon melancholy subjects, but her temper was fluctuating. Joy for a few instants shone in her eyes, but it continually gave place to distraction and reverie. The sun sunk low in the heavens. We passed the river Drance and observed this path through the chasms of the higher and the glens of the lower hills. The Alps here come closer to the lake, and we approach the amphitheater of mountains which forms its eastern boundary. The spire of Evian shone under the woods that surrounded it. The range of mountains above mountain by which it was overhung. The wind, which had hitherto carried us along with amazing rapidity, sunk at sunset to a light breeze. The soft air just ruffled the water and caused a pleasant motion among the trees as we approached the shore, from which it wafted the most delightful scent of flowers and hay. The sun sunk beneath the horizon, and we landed, and I touched the shore. I felt those cares and fears revive, which soon were to clasp me and cling to me forever. Whip now. That was chapter 21. That was great, right? It's getting there. We are getting there. Yeah, you know what time it is? Oh, stretch it out. Stretch it out. If you want me to keep reading, please check out some more of my videos. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah, I think I got something to crack back there. Give me a like, subscribe, thumbs up, push that subscribe button. Give me the comments, do the comments down below. You know, if you think I'm funny, if I think I'm funny, then someone's got to think I'm funny, right? Or nobody thinks I'm funny, which is fine. Because who gets to decide what the fuck funny is? You know? Fucking funny piece of shit. I'll tell you who is funny. You know what? My opinion don't matter. I tell you names for days. Names for days. But tell you what, I'll see you tomorrow and maybe I'll tell you those names. Bye. Bye. Bye.